Hey guys, it's Matt. I'm sure my mood will improve over time. It always does, knowing I'm talking to you, knowing how absurd this reality is, and eventually we'll have a few laughs and eventually be making fun of it. My mood will get better, but for right now, it's not very good. I can't believe the Not Milk's going to make me talk about this bullshit. When I made the video yesterday, which was a continuation on the airline crash in in India. See what's on my mind? In India, there was the airline crash. Oh, the whole world's forgotten about that already. That just, fuck them. Now, I didn't know about the quote, very reciteer and very important news headlines and breaking urgent news about a crisis situation that's brewing between Israel and Iran. That all these videos are popping up saying it will drag the United States into World War III. Come on, make it stop. Just make it stop, sir. Come on, sir. I mean, okay, this is, again, more stalled century. We'll touch on all the themes we typically talk about on this channel. Of course, we'll get into even if it's real, it's fake. Oh, this is a prime example of even if it's real, it's fake. To a degree, it's very managed. If you're in a Tel Aviv cafe and it's the same, the sirens again. Here, it's like the Scud missiles. If you're old enough to remember the Iraq situation, it's like if you're in a Tel Aviv cafe, the sirens, get me that drink before the Scud missile. Get my drink. I mean, if you're in a Tel Aviv cafe, it's managed, of course. To you, it's very real. This is a prime example of even if it's real, it's fake. It's a hybrid because will Israel be allowed to use its full arsenal against Iran as it participates in the 1W system script? No. It will do what the Not Milk wants in terms of playing out this particular act in the play. Will Iran, whatever they have, be allowed to use their full capabilities and everything they bought from Russia, because that's all real, against Israel? No, they won't be. It's just another act in a really long and pathetic stalled century act in a play. Not Milk, you should be ashamed of yourself. In another aspect of stalled century, I just went and looked up, how long is Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel? That's Bibi to you and me. We can call him Bibi. We know him well. How long has he been Prime Minister? Well, there was a stint in the 90s for a few years, and then this current stint from 2009 onward. But if you look at the history of how Israel turns over prime ministers, Israel turns over prime ministers basically as quickly as Madonna might turn over one night stands in the 90s. Some of them have only been in a few months before they say, you're out. You're fucking out. It's another element of stalled century. Bibi, it's Bibi to you and me. He's been in there forever. This current term would be pushing 17 years or something like that. Anyway, that's another element of stalled century. They don't have some two-term. It doesn't matter. We have a two-term limit in the United States. It's all fake anyway. The president of the United States doesn't make any decisions. Are you kidding me? Well, they make a few decisions. When the prime minister or one of the foreign dignitaries from Japan comes in or from China, they determine what will be on the menu that night. You can choose between the fish or the meat, or maybe there's a gefilte fish option. They choose the menu and they choose they choose maybe what year of champagne to serve. But other than that, presidents, prime ministers, the PPs, the three PPs, premiers, prime ministers, and presidents in this world, they don't make any decisions. Not Milk makes the decisions. I mean, and again, we will talk about the aspect of even if it's real, it's fake regarding what is going on now. But in terms of cycling the old themes in the stalled century, I mean, you remember the Stuxnet computer virus? This goes back to 2008, 2009, 2010, where Israel, working with the United States, planted some computer virus in the computer system of the centrifuges of Iran to slow down the centrifuges that would stall out their nuclear program. Bibi Netanyahu has been getting up on his soapbox and screaming about the Iran nuclear program since when he got in, and before that, probably other Israel prime ministers. To me, it goes back to the mid-2000 and whatevers, 2006, 2007, 2008. It's pushing 20 years. The Not Milk has been recycling this theme of the Iranian nuclear program. 20 years. Well, this is either the most inept nuclear program in the history that they're all basically retarded or something, or it's coming from the outer screen of reality. It's all bull crap as usual, and all the people around us, I'm sure, are believing it. Do you think it'll really lead to World War III? Is your son draft age? Oh, come on, sir, make it stop. So it goes back to before Stuxnet. So would they tell us about what did they tell us about the Manhattan Project? And no, first through fifth grade truthers, I'm well aware of what the potential possibilities are regarding the existence or non-existence of nuclear weapons. Okay, I've been around the block a few times. I'm not going to do that here. This guy believes in nukes. I'm not going to do that here. Maybe I'll tell you my belief some other time. But they told us in our history class that the Manhattan Project took 24 months. 24. So these Iranian scientists with top-notch access to computer systems and technology and centrifuge systems and technologies that didn't exist in the 40s, they're pushing 20 years. And they can't get anything going when you could probably just go out to certain parts of the dark web and see how to build one, right? Or if I know first grade truthers, if they exist. I know. We'll talk about that some other time. It doesn't matter whether they exist or not, because everything is part of the Not Milk script. And even if it's real, it's fake. If you're in a Tel Aviv cafe, how many of those cafes are losing a lot of money? Not Milk end this so people can go back to the cafes. I mean, they're saying this is going to be as bad as See the V 2020, where you needed some sort of action vaccination passport. In that there were certain countries like Israel that actually moved forward with you needed an action vaccination passport to travel, and to never got quite that bad here. But, in terms of what's going on, guys, here, I can't believe I have to talk about this. It's just a continuation of literally what's been going on for 20 years. I mean, Not Milk, why don't you just come up with something new? I don't understand why you have to keep going back to the same well, whether it be geopolitical fake strife or movies or music. What is going on with Not Milk where it just can't come up with anything new? If it can't on its own, why don't you go out and find real spiritual beings? Most real spiritual beings are not like us. They don't see through this reality. They're not having these sorts of conversations, even though they're real spirits, the same as you and me. They're believing the news. They're worried about this situation. Every bit of it will be managed. Nothing can get out of control, breaking outside of a Not Milk script. They're the same as you and I spiritually, but they only 1% can see through it. 99% of people like us or spiritual beings like us fall for every bit of it. So Not Milk, what I was saying, go out and find some of these people that can still create and have imaginative powers to plan out. They'll take the money. They'll take your money to plan out your next 30 or 40 years if you need help of the geopolitical power struggles and strife and potential wars and rumors of wars that you need to play out to put people in a perpetual state of energy harvesting and loosh. Go find real people to make your script better if you can't do it yourself. But maybe I heard somebody just was screaming at me even before the upload. I heard it in a retrocausal fashion even before uploading. Somebody said, Matt, okay, maybe they once were, these people, real spiritual beings like us, or maybe they still are, but the Not Milk has removed their creative power through the endless scrolling through the phone, and the Not Milk has removed the creative and imaginative power of the regular people. And it can't, and people like us aren't going to go work for the Not Milk. Well, one of us could be a Patrick Henry and go work for the Not Milk and give it new ideas, because the people here still have imaginative and creative power. But I don't think it's completely removed that from the masses, even the people that are the same as us, whether it's your 144,000 or some other number. Why doesn't the Not Milk just hire real people to enhance its script? And somebody else is yelling at me, which I can hear through the retrocausal passages of time, and I haven't uploaded yet, saying, Matt, it doesn't have to be very good in terms of the creativity it puts into its script or what it will recycle next. People will believe it no matter how lame and pathetic it is. People will believe it no matter how many times in the past it's recycled the exact same themes. I agree. I'm picturing people in my family right now, some friends, where of course I was going to say that they'll believe every bit of it, of course, and they're worried that their young children could be pulled into a war. Of course, they'll believe every bit of that. But what I'm saying is they won't ever tie it in to the exact same themes and scripts that ran in 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010. They won't ever stop and say, this Iranian nuclear program, this whole potential conflict is now, it's not pushing 20 years. It's without a doubt 20 years. They won't stop and say, isn't that odd that, and it goes back, even in Donald Trump's first term, there was the Iran nuclear deal. Oh, well, we got that under control. There's an Iran nuclear deal. Greg actually just called me, and I'm glad he did, because I had to cut that last section off where I started to do a role play. What did the United States need to give Iran in the original nuclear deal to appease them so they stop their nuclear ambitions? Or what do they have to? And let's just say I said more than falafel carts, and I'm not sure that it could be a problem for me later. That part of the deal was falafel carts, but I'm going to cut that out to make sure there's no problem. But what did they have to give? It reminds me of the situation with Kim Jong-un. This might go back to the Clinton. Well, that was Kim Jong-il. He be illin. But that was who Clinton had to deal with under this fake scenario. The new presidents have to deal with He's the same as ill, but he's more pudgy. What all they had to give him so he could stop his nuclear ambitions was just a box of old VHS VCR tapes. That's all he needed. Don't you want 800 million tons of grain to help feed your starving people? No, a few visits from Dennis Rodman and these tapes are good. That's all they had to do for him. But so in terms of what does the United States eventually? The same thing will happen. It'll be right to the brink of World War, and there'll be a deal. Somebody will broker a deal. And they love the deals because it just creates the situation for the same scenario to happen in the stalled century 5 years later. Or this doesn't help the presentation. Or 10 years later. They love the deals because the art of the deal, they love because they can just do it all over again because the deal then will be broken. Come on, sir. I mean, again, our biggest frustration, it is unbelievable how the people we interact with believe in this stuff. If there's a family member that is they come into my channel and watch, and certain people will come into my channel from time to time and watch and never tell me they're watching. Never call me and say, Matt, it's really strange you believe this and that. Let's talk about it. Never call me, just kind of do it in secret. And then if I ever talk about something, then they tell that person I talked about it or whatever. But those, if there are any of those people that maybe family, friends that really shouldn't be watching this channel unless you're going to engage with it, you believe what's happening now on the news, you're one of the dumbest individuals to ever walk the face of the earth. That's all I can say. I mean, it is unfathomable to people like you and me and old guard here, how the people can believe this utter bullshit. And not only is it unbelievable in and of itself, it's recycling the same themes from 20 years ago. My mood is definitely improving. It always does. It always does. I hope yours does too. I was thinking about a comment left in the last video, and it was like, Matt, well, what about the reverse or the inverse of even if it's real, it's fake? What about the inverse? Even if it's fake, it's real. There's some instances where that could be, but no, for the most part, even if it's fake, it's real. That usually doesn't work. No, even if it's real, it's fake works by definition. Let's just start that even if it's real, it's fake confused a lot of people. I thought, well, I think the old guard again understands, but people come and go here. I was surprised by the number of comments. Like, I just don't quite get that. Let's just start with the absolute basics, and we'll try to do the best we can to tie this truth lesson and life lesson into what's going on now between Iran and Israel in a very reciteer and urgent situation that could pull the United States into World War III. Is there anybody here that believes this is a real world or not a fake world in some way? And I'm going to do another sidebar, because whenever you say that, there's a little group here that will latch on to, well, you believe it's an AI simulation, it's a simulated world. Well, if I say it's a fake world, of course it's a simulated world, but then this little group will jump right to AI and technology. Well, if it could be a naturally simulated world as it was designed by your God or your spiritual friends or your higher self to have an experience. And just because I say or anybody says this is a simulation of some kind, why do they have to make the leap to some sort of evil AI or a computer technology or servers something that we can understand or relate to Silicon Valley? One has nothing to do with the other. It's a simulation. It's a fluid reality. It's a natural simulation. It was designed this way. You don't have to make the leap to some computer chip and AI. What does one have to do with the other? Nothing. But they have to make that leap. So you believe it's an AI that's the ultimate bad guy? What? Because why would I believe it's the ultimate? It could be. I mean, to me, remember, anybody that's new here, things are playing out as they're meant to play out. This is all by design, in my opinion. The reality itself is a wake-up tool to bring us along, or to help us with certain things, or help us understand certain aspects of ourselves, or we learn certain things here. Let's get into the whole triggered conversation. Everything that's happening, to me, you may disagree, is by design, as it was originally planned out, as the reality was originally laid down, not hijacked, not it was supposed to be something else, and the Lochnar came and hijacked it and changed all this. As bad as it gets out there, Mandela effects, reality breakdowns, it's all as it's supposed to be, to me. Now, I would say, 20% of you, I don't want to say triggered, I appreciate you're still here, but you vehemently disagree with that. Now, you're still here, I appreciate it, and if I'm wrong, I will come around to your viewpoint. I'm not dug in or intransigent on any of my views. As I know it seems that way, but I assure you, I believe I am still open-minded to almost anything. There's just no evidence. Even though it's bad and we go through trauma and we're subjected to this and that, the reality itself is remember the truck and tractor pull. And the truck and tractor pull, the weight moves closer to the bed of the truck or the engine of the truck, which makes it harder to pull. The reality over time, every 5 or 10 years goes by. Actually, it's actually week to week now, gets more and more ridiculous, more and more absurd, more and more things you would call reality breakdowns, or things that should never happen, or things that should just wake everybody up, yet they never do wake up. It's a truck and tractor pull, and the weight is very close to the bed or very close to the engine of the truck. It almost can't get any more. Did I just say that? I was going to say it almost can't get any more ridiculous than it already is. But we thought that 5 years ago, and now it's exponentially more ridiculous. So it can, of course, it just finds a way to get more absurd, and then still the people around us don't see it. It's a wake-up tool, the reality itself. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? It was designed this way. Okay, 20% that are triggered by that or want to jump through the computer and argue with me, I appreciate you still being here. I know you believe it was hijacked. You believe this is not what was intended. I swear to you, I will remain open-minded. I hope you stay here. Put it in comments. Put it in emails to me. But I don't see, as bad as it gets, I don't think it'll ever come around that it's hijacked. And again, as I've said many times, it just was supposed to be us lying around under palm trees and beautiful sunshine with endless bottles of P. Diddy lube. I don't think that's what it was intended. It's intended to be a low place. It's intended to be hardcore pipe hitting. You're going to learn about loss, strife, anger, jealousy, the 7 deadly sins, pain, loss, it's backstabbing. It's meant to be low. That's the experience. It's not very long. From the scheme of all that ever was and all that ever will be, 75 to 80 years or 85 to 90 years, if you live a full, robust life, that ain't shit. That's nothing. people complain, "I would have never signed up for this." I know I say the same things, but it wasn't hijacked. It was intended to be this way, and it's a fluid reality. It shifts, and it's not. It is fake. It's a simulation of some kind, but as I was saying, that doesn't mean AI or evil tech. It's a natural simulation. Let me see how I'm doing on this. Did this record? And we'll go from here. So getting back to the premise of what I was talking about, the concept of even if it's real, it's fake, related to the last segment. I mean, by definition, everything then that comes from the outer ring of reality, the screen presentation, the presentation through its politics and its systems and its governments and its Hollywood, or whatever you call the screen in this reality, the S all dark, by definition, then it has to be fake. However, if you were on the ground in many of the events that it puts forth, it managed both sides in World War II. That's very real to a lot of people. Yet, by certain definitions, or seeing it a certain way, if it was set up and crafted and managed on both sides, and the situation for war was artificially put in place, even going back through World War I and the reparations on the Weimar Republic and the hyperinflation and the Treaty of Versailles and the Hall of Mirrors and the reparations and the punishment against Germany for World War I. It goes back, if you go back far enough, and the conditions were put in place for World War II to be inevitable or easily rekindled again by Not Milk. Well, if you're on the ground and you're fighting in the Battle of the Bulge, that's very real. Yet, by another definition and looking at it at a different angle or from 100,000 feet down, it's fake. See, it can be both at the same time, right? Maybe that's just a simple way of saying it. Even if it's real, it's fake. It's not really, that's kind of too much of a rudimentary term to use for something as reciteer as being in your grandfather being in a battle in World War II. But you understand what I'm saying. So everything that comes from the outer ring of reality is fake to some degree. Now, the difference is when we were 12 years ago or more, we were the first grade to third grade, fifth grade truthers. I thought about this the other day, and I'll come clean with it right now. A major mistake I made. Major mistake. Hey, what did we know 10 years ago or so? We learned know a whole lot more now. Not necessarily that we're that much smarter, but reality has given itself away to us. It's shown us all its cards. What did I come up with 10 years ago? I was all proud of myself. Not really, but the first rule of truth. Any old guard? Remember the first rule of truth? There's nobody's going to get it. I mean, I would be so surprised. If you want to pause this and think, what did Matt? We did several videos on it. It was completely wrong. It was the first rule of truth. Let's look at this school situation over here, and the Robin Williams movie about Peter Pan and Captain Hook. Peter Pan bot. If the first rule of truth, if one element is false or completely contrived or then it's all false. Nope. Totally wrong. Totally wrong. I thought you could bridge that. We look over it at the thousands of events it's presented. In the for example, the Kobe Bryant helicopter crash, there was an inflated tire. And although to me this is a bad example, because that's a David Bowie Island situation to me. Imagine if anybody's stumbling upon this video. The inflated tire. Okay, we don't have to do anymore. We're finished. If one element is impossible or fake, then it's all fake. It doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. I should have just gotten right to the point in the beginning of this video, but because of what's happening between these two countries in the next act in the play, I had to talk about it, and I'll talk about it a little more, tying it in with these themes as we go forward. But reality itself, I should have just come clean with this, and I've never said it this plainly. Reality itself is placing fake elements inside real events. Well, Matt, why don't you just say that? I know you might not believe me, but why don't you just come clean and put it that simply? 8 weeks ago, I should have. Because maybe I was a little afraid to say it. I guess I was holding back a bit, and that is out there. that is out there. To me, let's start with the absolute basics and we'll build from there. To me, reality is placing fake elements inside real events. Now that is so out there, what I just said, unless you're the oldest of the old guard and are open to almost anything, that reality is placing strange little fake events, anomalies, things that don't make sense into events where if you were there, said this really happened, into very real events. And reality's doing it matter, the secret society. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Of course, I don't have all that worked out, but I am convinced about what I just said. And even again, the oldest of the old guard is probably the only group that will just, not always agree with me, but at least accept it as being possible, leave it on the table. So I have to start with the absolute basics in terms of justifying this, because this is out there even for many of you. So remember recently we've been talking about what I said back in 2019, where I said, I asked you, do you think there'll ever be a news event, anything major that happens in the world from, this MH370 missing plane to, what's happening now with two countries or whatever. 2019, I floated it. Is there ever going to be a major news event where there won't be 15 to 20% of the facts won't lead us down rabbit holes, won't lead to incredible conspiracy and conflicting information and things for us and our community and our group to chase? Will there ever be a news story that's just a news story where it's just completely clear what happened and there's nothing to chase? There's no conspiracy for a major news story. And again, not to spend too much time because we just talked about this, everybody agreed with me and said, no, Matt, we sense what you sense. There will never be a major news event that doesn't present the conspiracy to us at the same time as being somehow built in to the story, built in to the event. Well, that by itself, folks, no real world could do that. If we're convinced every single major news event that's big, that makes the front page of the New York Times website, that's getting the world's attention, isn't going to have 15 to 20% strange anomalies and things baked in that could create and lead to conspiracy that's going to get our attention and hope that we chase it. No real world could do that. That gives away fake world. Czar, come on down now. That gives away fake world on its own. So if most of us, that's not really out there. The old guard, again, in 2019 said, no, there'll never be another major news headline that's not just riddled with conspiracy. So we all agree, for the most part, at that. But if you agree with that, then by definition, reality itself is, even if you could say it's working through the deep state or working through governments or working through dark forces or working through secret societies, reality itself / not milk in some way is embedding the conspiracy or the chase inside the news event. Okay, this is possible. This has been going on for a long, long, long time. Possible through. Well, I don't want to talk about specific events right now. I don't want to, I'll have to really use hobo code. So, okay, in the first part, we all agree. Matt, we see it. The conspiracy comes every time. Okay, but stop and think about what that truly means. That's fake world in and of itself. You don't need to know anymore. No world could do that. But again, in terms of what we're talking about here, and relating to even if it's real, it's fake. Well, how is reality seeing to it that there is an element of conspiracy in every single news story, and why does it need the conflicting information? Why does it need little breadcrumbs to get our attention? That must tell us how important we are. Why is the conspiracy in the news event, if not for only one reason? It can only be one reason, in my opinion, to get our attention, to have us focus on it, to have us run with it. And we are a necessary element in all this, and we've been over time been used and played by not milk. We've been manipulated. And Neo as the one in the Matrix. Am I rocking? Am I rocking? Neo as the one. This is like some sort of terrestrial. In the Neo as the one in the Matrix. He was he wasn't a hero. He was played and used the whole way by the architect and the oracle, just manipulated at every turn. We are kind of the one here necessary for this whole reality, or in the Matrix, it was to the integral anomaly code was he was needed to reset the Matrix to the next version. Maybe we are for this, who knows? But one of our main goals is to see how we've been played and how we can avoid that manipulation, avoid giving it what it wants and doing what it wants. So I think we're doing a better job. I think we have a long way to go. We're doing a better job. And no, I can't, in terms of me talking about the plane crash yesterday and somebody screaming at me, well, I'm giving it energy by talking about it. Well, how are we supposed to come to any conclusions if I don't talk about anything? That's just, every time somebody gives me that, I just have to laugh. I can't, don't give it your energy. You can withhold your energy through affirmation, saying, I'm not giving it my energy because I say so. I'm not giving it energy. But anyway, yeah, does it get a little bit of energy out of me talking about the plane crash? I guess it does. But what am I supposed to do? I have to talk about it. But anyway, so the first step is every news item has that piece for all the truth researchers to latch onto. That by itself exposes fake world, and it is absolutely the first step in understanding, even if it's real, it's fake. Because the ultimate conclusion you come to, the first great truther believes that all of these events that we've ever looked at were all basically just acting. Nobody was ever harmed. Everybody's a catastrophe thespian, reading their lines, reading their cue cards. Every single first responder group's in on it. They know nothing happened. Every hospital group's in on it. They know nobody came to the nobody was hurt. The police are in on it. They know nothing happened at that mall or at that school. The local authorities and the mayor are in on it. All the catastrophe thespians read their lines. And guys, I understand this reality is so incredible, so false. It's so good at laying down its ruse and its trick that I understand how we all kind of fell for that, because you see ridiculous mall events and school events. Like, I'm not even going to say the name. The guy's name was Chris, remember? And he had the red pants, remember? And he was supposedly, as a man that putted from the rough, he was supposedly dating that relative pretty young girl. Her name was Alice in Wonderland bot. It was Allison. And it was, I'm not even going to give any more information, but he said he got a picture book, and he said, nobody would have, she was the only girl that would have made these pictures from me. Look at these pictures here. Why are you doing, that's the Zabruder. It was Chris, man. It's not Zabruder. You're mixing your catastrophe thespians up. I've done this for so long, I get mixed up. He's the only girl to make these pictures. That wasn't the great impression of Chris, but if you've seen this, he's crying over the picture book, and he took his little picture book around to all the interviews, the 10 or 12 interviews he did within 2 days. So when you see these events, Matt, somebody's screaming at me, and it is hard to reconcile, saying, Matt, in that particular event, and they might be right, but that's all the way down the sliding scale. There's nothing that happened. To stop saying even if it's real, it's fake. Nothing real happened in that event. And I do, of course, when you go to that level, does Chris really believe that he lost his fiancée? No, of course not. Is she on David Bowie Island? Maybe she was an AI that never existed. She gave her reports on the news in the state of Virginia as an AI mid-journey construct, and it doesn't even exist. There's no need for David Bowie Island. Matt, this is breaking down. If anybody's stumbling upon this, they're going to come get you, put you in book us into the white room. Who knows if she existed or not? At that level, it's all cake in a lake, of course. I'm not saying even if it's real, it's fake. There's real elements to that. However, the first great truther sees that, and then everything has to be completely fake and contrived with no real elements. And what I'm saying is, guys, maybe they don't do as many of these ridiculous fake events as they used to do they? It's almost like they got a snowball rolling down a hill. The events then are, if you were there in the middle of them, most of what the Not Milk presented, there are very real elements. There was actually a plane that went. There were very real elements in what the reality presents going forward. However, even if it's real, it's fake. It was like it was part of a script. Somehow if you were there, you saw the explosion. You saw yesterday's video. You saw the person run out of the bank. You were there. It happened. But those that are participating in it, even if you say you're in the middle of it, it's very real. They are on a frequency. They're on a download. They believe in what they're doing. They're carrying out a script or an act of the play. It's very real if you're in the middle of it. Most things that happen. But from many other perspectives, if the people participating are not the same as you spiritually, they're NPC types, they have a local soul here, but no connection to spirit, no bridge out of here, whatever it may be. And on the ship of fools, they're doing whatever the outer screen or outer ring of reality needs them to do, whether they be presidents or premiers or politicians or whatever. They're on the frequency and on the download. So, okay, it's what's happening is real, yet if they're carrying out an act in the play, it's fake at the same time. Most things are not the complete cake and a lake situation. Talked about the guy named Chris with the red pants. That there's nothing real about that particular mall event and school event. Nothing, of course. It's just a big debate as to whether she went to David Bowie Island and she was real or whatever, or does he putt from the rough or whatever it may be. But then the first great truth, then everything is all orchestrated by the secret societies. Everything's fake. 95 to 98% of everything is very real at this point, in my opinion. Yet reality sees to it that the real event has ridiculous fake elements, so we latch onto it. Matt, delusions of grandeur. Reality's doing all this for us. Yeah, basically. And so it's a real event, but reality has to put in the absurdity. So what happens when the first grade truther sees the absurdity? What mistake did I make as the first rule of truth? That didn't come out right. I have to re-record. I was saying, so if I was applying what I was so proud of, my first rule of truth, 10 or 11 years ago, applying it to, say, the airport Ahmedabad incident in India yesterday. Well, as soon as I would have learned, applying the first rule of truth, that there was one guy that survived seat 11A, flight AI 171. The A can be seen as a 1. The I is written like a 1, but then it's 17 with 7, 8, 9, and then with the other number, and it's AI. And once I got just applying the first rule of truth. One guy made it, did plane, it shows a huge fireball. I would have said, well, if one element is false, then it all has to be false. That was 100% wrong. The first rule of truth, if it was a piece of paper, rip it up, throw it out. The first rule of truth, totally wrong. And I even called it the first rule. I was all proud of myself. And the Not Milk laughed. This asshole, look at this, come here. But the reactors over here, this Chernobyl Illuminati Control Center, Chernobyl 3 Mile Island, fuck the reactors. Come look at this guy, Matt. Look at this quantum, what did he call himself? The quantum of conscious. Look at this jerk. He's all proud of himself. Let me tell you about the first rule of truth. If one element's false, it's all false. That's what we want them to believe. Look at the balloon boy. That's what they want. That's what we want them to believe. But see, it's going to be very real. We're going to put in the fake elements or the dark part of reality, however we've seen it. It's not a control room, guys, with levers and buttons. To me, reality itself does this. Not the deep state and people in dark rooms. It doesn't work like that. They are on the frequency carrying out what the screen wants or the outer ring wants. Reality will put in the fake elements. So jerks like me, who over time have influenced a lot of people. So if it's one event's completely bogus, it's all bogus. Nope. And maybe it was more so back then. Over time, it's changed a bit, I believe, but we'll talk about that some other time. It's very real. There was really a crash, and there's real, or this event or that event, and there's It's not a great example between Iran and Israel because it's very managed. The full arsenal is being held back. The full capabilities are being held back. That's a little bit different. But you certainly can't declare that if this is bogus and that's bogus and this doesn't make sense and there's an inflated tire over here, that just because of this or one element, it's all fake. No. It's very real with reality itself, or you could say the screen. We don't know exactly how it works. Reality inserting absurd, ridiculous, and fake bozo events into real events. And I haven't thought on this concept for 20 hours straight, gone off into a peyote tent or something on it. But right now, it just seems at the first level that the only reason for that the only possible reason for that would be to get us, people like us, or entities like us, or spirits like us, dragged into it, or to look at it, or to declare, to make us the boy and girl that cried wolf, to declare this element is so absurd, the lone survivor, seat 11A or whatever, this is so, then we just go to at the Thanksgiving dinner table, this is ridiculous, it's all fake. And what does that do to us? The people on the ship of fools, whatever they are, if they're the same spiritual entity that you are or not, they are on the frequency. They're smack in the middle of the ship of fools. They are brainwashed or manipulated via the frequency that they're on, that they choose to be on, to see or to latch on to the real elements. They see everything that we have an issue with over here or there, they see as, of course, very, very real. Where we're not sure, or we're latching onto the absurd elements, they latch on to the real elements that are actually real. So going back to, even the conflict between Hamas and Israel, and then Hezbollah, of course, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. That made no sense. Well, how is Hezbollah, Shia, fighting with Sunnis? They're supposed to be at odds with each other. It just, all of reality is broken down, but forget that. So we'll latch on to those things, like that doesn't make any sense, that the Shias and the Sunnis are fighting together, even though the enemy of my enemy is my friend, whatever. And things like the hostages, they kept making, there was that endless presentation. Is it still going on between Hamas and Israel? I don't know. Are they still holding hostages? I don't watch it. That went on for so long that we were latching on. This is ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense that they keep talking about hostages and what? I'm not really prepared to talk about it. We are trained to latch onto the absurdities of what the Not Milk puts forth. Those in the ship of fools on the radio station, the frequency, whether they be your Aunt Ginny or your best friend, or they're trained, or not really trained. They're on the frequency, so they latch onto what is real, and the things they're latching onto that are real are very real. This attack really took place. That's the way reality happens, at least now. The first grade truther that hasn't learned the lesson, initially they do the right thing. Here is a news event. Here is a potential war between two countries. Here is a theism event. Here is, okay, this is what the news presents. They immediately, and appropriately so, at least initially, latch on to the absurd elements. And there's always absurd elements, which is fake world. And say, well, this is absurd, that's absurd, and maybe this warehouse really did go boom, but this it's all fake. Nope. Even the people involved even believe in it. I'm even at the point now where I think, well, certainly the president of whatever country, or let's just say Trump, of course, Matt, he knows everything. He knows how fake everything is, and he's in the meetings, and the secret societies come in, and I'm at the point now, guys, where some presidents might know more than others, like George H.W. Bush. He came through the deep state. But let's just say somebody like Obama. I love to talk. Kurt loves to talk about Obama. He may have believed that he was a real president with the power that the history books or the civics books or civics lessons say he has. He may have believed. We think that if we do this long enough that he went into a back room, he was told what to do, he knows it's all fake. It's not as, from their perspective, those on the download, those types of minions, they know not what they do. Most of them believe in every bit of it. I do reserve the fact that maybe there's something really, really high up that knows how fake everything is. But I went from, the first grade truther a long time ago that everybody's in on it. Every police chief knows nothing happened at the mall. They believe in it on the frequency all the way up through the ranks. And who knows if they all met by that definition? Maybe every minion all the way to the very top believes in it. And where we can, I don't know. I don't know. But I know that, Obama, for example, may have believed. He may have sensed, well, there's, all of a sudden they're telling me to do this and I should do it. But he may have believed he was a real president, if you can believe that. And we all believe that, of course, immediately he knew there was no real, no real votes were, when he's told what to do. And he says, "Can I get another corn dog? I'd like to buy another corn dog at the state fair." And you need permission to buy that's the example we always use. Elon Musk and even puppets like that, who they say are billionaires. Elon, I was going to say he took a date. Elon took a date to the state fair, the Iowa State Fair, but that would become another baby mama, I guess, for Elon Musk. And he says, "Can you buy us another round of corn dogs?" "Well, I don't know." "What do you mean you don't know? You're worth $280 billion. I have to make a phone call." Look, that's ridiculous. Can Elon Musk buy a second corn dog? Sure. Could he buy another one of his own Teslas? No. He needs permission for something like that. The corn dog is a little ridiculous. But could he buy another one of his own Teslas? It's not his own, of course. That's the wrong words. The wrong words are coming out of my mouth. No, he's a puppet. He can't do anything other than buy his own corn dogs. Okay, and he probably could put up a quarters if this date or future baby mama wanted to try to throw the softballs into the little ring, and it's all skewed so you can't get. I can't get it in. It looks like it's gonna go. Those fake, corrupt fair and carnival games where you can't win, or if you win, they'll when the stuffed animals get so old and mildewy and stinky, and that they want to just give them away. "Oh, we won the stuffed animal!" Like, oh God, who threw up on this? When they'll let you win. Anyway, it's breaking down. This presentation's breaking. Who's calling me? Oh, I gotta get this. Okay, I did have to take that call. It's pretty much time to wrap it up anyway. I just wanted to close with a few points. Almost everything in this reality, especially now, but you could go back through history, most things are, even if it's real, it's fake, both at the same time. World War I. I mean, a war that they say came from the two asses in a nation of an archduke that nobody liked, and somehow that spiraled into a world war. There's just no, obviously it was not planned and cooked up on all sides and intended, and it just doesn't make any sense how, at least the events that history says happens would lead to a world war. It's absurd. So it was very real. If you may believe that the trenches and everything we've told have been over-exaggerated, but it was very real for obviously a lot of people. Both civilians and military were killed in World War I. I mean, no matter what you believe about it, I don't think anybody would dispute that. Is it the millions and millions that they say? We'll talk about that some other time. But if you were in the middle of it, it was very real. From another angle, a whole other aspect, how the situation that led to war, the conditions, all cooked up by not milk, all cooked up by the outer screen. Those that cooked it up, we have the tendency to believe it was cooked up in a smoking room where men and women were sitting around a table, and the secret society. But it's not that simple. Not milk certainly cooked it up, whatever that is. But the people that facilitated the conditions that led to World War I, completely fake to us from our perspective. It's real and fake at the same time. Those that created the conditions for it, I'm much more going along the sliding scale that says they know not what they do. They're not trying even to cook up the conditions for World War I. They're just doing what the not milk frequency demands of them. I know a lot of people will push back on me and say, "No, Matt, it's the it is the secret societies, and there is a small group that runs everything, and the Club of Rome, and okay, I mean, maybe it doesn't really matter, does it? When you get, okay, this situation on the ground was cooked up, was created, was fabricated, was fabricated by a guy in a cloak somewhere in a secret society, or fabricated by reality itself, or the dark part of reality itself. Does it matter? Does it really matter? No, it doesn't. It's real, very real, yet fake at the same time. And almost everything's like that. The first grade truther sees the fake elements, declares everything fake, and that's the mistake that I made with the first rule of truth. Oh, look at that ridiculous element. Then if that ridiculous element's in there, then it's all fake. Nope. It's still probably 90 to 95% real. So I was wrong about the first rule of truth, and even calling it so monumental, the first rule of truth. You mean I've been here for 10 years and you've been wasting? I don't think I've been completely wasting your time. I have a lot of truth breakthroughs. I just, when I'm wrong, I'm big enough to say I was wrong. What do you want me to do? Dig in on the first rule of truth and say, I think it's still real. I think it's still correct. It's wrong. Sorry. I'll do better. So at least I can call out my mistakes. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. I will see you at freevoice.io tomorrow. Remember, if anything happens to this here platform, I mean, just, if we're a few days away from Sunday, I'll be at freevoice.io. If anything happens here, I'm still carrying, 1X. I'm still carrying, and I have 2 more, but, who knows? Who knows? Just, if anything happens, find me at freevoice.io. Thanks, guys.